Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video I'm going to go through my gear list for an upcoming trip that I'm going on. This is a deep winter trip. It is the middle of February and I'm heading up into the mountains, and this time around I decided I was going to pull a Pulk Sled, an expedition sled. If you've seen one of my prior videos, you'll see me actually putting the sled together and fabricating it, getting ready for this trip. And today I'm going to go through the contents of both my sled and what I'm going to be bringing on my person, just so that you can understand what I'm bringing, why I'm bringing it, and if there are any questions, I'd certainly like to hear it. But with that said, I have an awful lot to cover here, so let's get right down to it. Oh, but real quick before we do, hang tight for the intro. So again, as mentioned, I'm going through the gear contents that I will be packing both in my sled and carrying on my person. Now there's a lot of reasons why I'm bringing the gear that I am, and some of it is because I am testing some gear on this trip. It's gear that I've never used, and I've made a commitment to myself to not necessarily test gear for the first time out in the field without having a backup to protect myself. Now, where it's deep winter, I know I'm going to be in freezing and sub-freezing conditions, so I'm not taking any chances. So you'll see today I am bringing some extra gear. There is a lot of redundancy in here, but that's because I'm either doing reviews, testing gear for the first time, and also in some cases bringing gear for other people. I am going with my brother-in-law on this trip, so I do have some things in here that I'm carrying for him. So again, with that said, you will see some redundancy, but overall I have a system that I've put together that I think is going to be really quality for me. If you watch some of the upcoming videos that you'll see from the trip, you'll see how I apply this and how I use it to give you a better understanding of what this gear is, why I'm bringing it, and again, how it would be used in the field. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the actual bag that I'm using that goes inside the sled. As I built this sled, one of the things that I said was one of the remaining pieces was the actual duffel bag. Now this duffel bag fills this out perfectly, and on the inside of this duffel bag it is lined, so it is a waterproof, certainly at least water resistant bag. So all my gear is going to go in here and hopefully keep it protected. I am relying on this as the waterproof source for all of my gear. So you'll see that my sleeping bags I do not necessarily have in dry bags. I'm taking a little bit of a risk there because they are down sleeping bags, and I'm relying on this bag to keep them dry. But in that regard, basically all my gear will fit for the most part inside of this. And so as I go through this process today, I'll be packing it in here, getting this all cinched down, and at that point, I'm ready to go on my trip. So now let's talk about my sleep system. What I chose for a sleep system is a combination of multiple items from 2Go Systems. Take a look at a couple of my prior videos to see a review of the Shift Quilt and also the version 3 Trifecta. Now I am using these two products in combination to create a waterproof layer that I can put my sleeping bag in, and I will be essentially sleeping in these, and this is what I'm testing. I have not used these in the field yet. So these are my primary sleeping system, but at the same time, just like I said, I have not necessarily tested these. So I do have a backup. This is my Sea to Summit Micro 3. I have tested this in similar conditions. Actually, I have gone down to about negative 10 degrees in this. Yes, it was cold. Yes, I was at the verge of shivering, but at the same time, it kept me safe. So I do have this as a backup just in case. Now, I don't expect I'm going to need it, but I am bringing it just in case. Like I said, I've made a commitment to myself not to test gear for the first time without having a backup solution to stay safe, and so I have opted to bring this as well. Now to finish off my sleep system, two more items. First is in this small stuff sack. This is my Luckstone stuff sack group, and you'll see that I'm using this for a bulk of the items that I'm carrying today. Now again, these are mesh, so obviously no waterproof capability here, and so that's why I'm relying on this duffel bag to keep my stuff dry. But in here I do have my camp pillows. Now in a prior video I did go through my camp pillows, and I am bringing all 3 of these with me to keep me comfortable. As I'm dragging my gear, I don't see the need to go necessarily ultra lightweight. Why bother? I'm dragging the stuff, and so I'm going a little bit luxury on this trip, and the pillows is definitely one of those luxury items I'm going a little bit above on, and I'm going to have myself a good night's sleep. Now taking luxury even a step further, here I have an Alps inflatable pad. This is a self-inflating pad. This is a monstrous pad. It's like 2+ inches thick. It's wider than my body by a good amount. It's longer than my body by a good amount. And I'm looking to have myself a mighty comfortable night's sleep. So where, again, I am dragging my gear and I'm not carrying it, I opted for the larger pad. Now, I mean, you can see this thing is just monstrous. And it is taking up quite a bit of space. So I kind of had to ask myself if it was worth it. And you know what? I'm going to go for it. So again, I like a little bit of luxury when I can. This is one of those trips where I'm just deciding that a little bit of extra gear, a little bit of luxury, and going a little bit above and beyond is perfectly okay. Now for my shelter, I've opted to dig myself some sort of a snow shelter. Now it's not going to be an igloo. It's probably not even going to be a Quincy hut. But what I think I am going to do is dig myself down as deep as I can go. Now I'm not terribly sure how deep the snow is at this point, but I'm banking on there certainly being plenty. And from there I'm going to dig myself down using a couple of these Brooks range shovels. Now these are a very short handle shovel, but they are very packable and overall nice quality. I have not used these yet. They're brand new to me, but I have basically 2 of them so that I can give one to my brother-in-law to help me work, and I have one for myself. And so anyway, I'm going to dig myself down, get myself to the point where hopefully I can create a bed layer and maybe even have a potential fire inside, build up my walls, and over the top I am opting to use my Reflect 100 tarp from 2Go Systems. Now I have used this in the past. It is a beautiful product. I do happen to actually have 2 of these that I'm bringing with me, one for my shelter and then another one that I'm going to use for one of a couple of things. Either one, creating a general seating area where we can hang out throughout the day and the evening, or also setting it up as a potential fire reflector for nighttime, depending on how my shelter lays out. So these are very versatile. They have excellent features and qualities, and if you're interested in seeing more details about these, certainly look at my full feature review for the 2Go Systems Reflect 100. And just a minor detail, but I do have a very small ground sheet here. This is basically just to go directly beneath my mattress pad, and it's just a way to create a moisture-proof barrier between the mattress pad and the snow. So again, just very small and lightweight, but worth bringing, and just a fine detail. Now, one of the things I struggle with the most is figuring out exactly what clothing to bring. So I'm going to cover 2 topics. One is the clothing that I'm going to wear during the day, and another is what I'm going to change into at night. And that could vary depending on my comfort, my shelter, and the overall warmth that I'm experiencing. And so the first thing is I have a few different bags with different clothes in them, and that's for various different reasons. I don't want everything all bundled up into one bag because I don't need to get to it all at the same time. I've kind of separated it out again into these Luckstone mesh bags to give me some subdivided little kits that I can pick from. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is my clothing that I plan on changing into. So this is a change of clothes, very straightforward. It's going to be essentially just a duplicate of what I'm wearing during the day on my hike in, but this will be to get dry, have no moisture on me for sleeping, and then also hike out the next day. So the main thing is I do have a pair of thermal socks to keep my feet warm. I have a long sleeve underlayer, so this is one of my Under Armour garments that I've also reviewed. Under Armour boxer briefs, which I've also reviewed. Under Armour t-shirt if I feel as though I need both layers, both the long sleeve and the short sleeve. Here I have some thermal underwear, a pair of hiking socks, and a pair of my lightweight hiking pants. So that is my change of clothes, which I will change into before bed and then wear the next day. Now here I have some gloves and hats. So I have a little selection. I'm bringing maybe a little more than I need, but better to have a little bit more than I need than not enough. So I have some heavy gloves. These are outdoor research gloves. Actually, they're mittens, and so I'll use these at nighttime to keep my hands warm when I sleep. I also have some light glove liners that I may use just so kind of hanging out and doing my general work. I have a little something on my hands just to kind of keep the wind off of them. And I also have a pair of wool gloves with cut off fingers. So these are what I'm going to sort of transition to towards the nighttime. And then again, I actually just have a second pair of thermal socks in case while I'm hanging out at camp, my feet get cold while I stop moving. So this is kind of like once I get to camp, the ability for me to just kind of get warm, and I have a wool hat. So these are kind of like my warm gear just as I settle down at the end of the night. Something I can sort of slide out and just give me a little extra comfort while I'm hanging around at the camp. Now 3 more items that I am bringing. I have some snow pants, which I may or may not wear as I hike in. But once I start digging my snow shelter, I know I'm going to want these to keep me warm and dry as I work. My oversized wool sweater, which this is either going to be for hanging around camp, or if it's really cold as I'm hiking in, I will wear this. It's nice because it breathes, but at the same time keeps me nice and warm. Now this is kind of interesting. It was made in the Kathmandu region of Nepal, so kind of like Sherpa wear, or traditional Sherpa wear I should say. Modern Sherpas probably are wearing synthetics. And then finally, I have this outdoor research lightweight rain jacket. I'm basically just bringing this as a windproof shell in case I need something to keep the wind off me. So that is pretty much what I'm planning on packing inside my sled. And then the rest of the clothing and gear that I have for my body, I will go through real quick. Now on my first day hiking in, I am planning on wearing my Fall Raven Vita Pro trousers. Again, I may only wear these, or if it's cold enough, I'll put on the snow pants to keep me warm. Here I have a lightweight outdoor research Ferrasi, which I got this idea from watching Aaron at Gideon's Tactical. He was talking about how these Ferrasi jackets are one of his favorite, and they are excellent. It's just a nice light layer, synthetic, breathes, dries real quick, but it's just kind of like an extra layer of skin. So anyway, I will be wearing this. So my first layer, I will be wearing a short sleeve shirt, synthetic polyester material, followed by this Ferrasi. And then I have this smart wool jacket, which the entire thing is all ventilated, but at the same time has plenty of insulation. So this is a nice lightweight jacket to keep me reasonably warm, yet at the same time breathe. So that's kind of like the system that I've developed, which works very well for hiking to keep you comfortable yet dry. So the polyester shirt followed by that Ferrasi followed by the jacket is an excellent combination. And then if I had to step it up even further, I could either put on my down or go to the wool. Now I'm going to be using these outdoor research gaiters, so I will keep them on for sure just to keep snow out of my boots and keep me kind of buttoned up down at around my ankles, and so I will be definitely wearing these. I have a Kuyu hat. This is a nice lightweight hat, just a little cap to keep my head warm as I hike. And then if that's actually a little on the warm side and I'm sweating, I will actually convert to this little head wrap. So I like these just to kind of keep my sweat off of my face and keep it up, and a little headband is definitely a plus. Now while I'm hiking, I have a lightweight pair of gloves just to keep my hands warm and keep the wind off of them while I'm using my trekking poles. And in the event that I need to kind of step it up and scramble, I do have these heavier duty wool work gloves, which have a nice sort of reinforced palm here that will at least provide a little bit of durability if I'm scrambling up some rocks or whatever. So I will have these actually all on the outside of my pack, on the outside of my sled, so I can get to them quickly and easily as I'm hiking into the mountains. Now another item that I do like, which I will keep near me, I have this shamag, which is actually pretty easy. I kind of use it like a scarf. It has nice little holes in it, so at the same time, even though it's keeping me warm, it also breathes, which is excellent. So just another little feature that I like to keep with me while I'm hiking in. Now continuing on from my footwear, I have these Sorel boots. They're pretty solid. I've had these for ages. They're good wintertime boots. They do have a nice lining on the inside, and then if I have to, I can switch over to thermal socks to give me some additional warmth. But overall, these are waterproof, nice and high, and have good thermal quality, so I opted to wear these for this particular trip. Now another bit of outerwear that I am bringing that I have not yet tested, and I kind of just wanted to bring it with me just in case, but I also was hoping to get a chance to actually test this, is my 2Go Systems Bob version 2 Poncho. This is a good piece of outerwear, but it also doubles as a tarp. So I'm not sure. I may possibly use this in the tarp configuration to create a fire reflector if I don't use the second Reflect 100 tarp. And so I just did want to bring this with me. I don't expect that it's going to rain, but you never know. Now granted, I do have that Outdoor Research lightweight jacket, but at the same time, just having this with me adds a little bit of weight, but gives me the ability to either review this in more detail, give it some good quality field use, or also have a second use for it as a fire reflector. So even though it's not necessary, I'm still bringing this and putting it in the bag. And that pretty much takes care of all of my outerwear. So changing gears here, let's move into my cooking supplies. And at this point, everything I have here is what I will be bringing. So I am planning on bringing a steak, which I would love to cook over the fire. So this is a little grill that I can set up while I'm out there. It adds a good amount of weight. This is kind of heavy, but at the same time, it's good functionality, and it's going to allow me to cook my food nice. So worth it to me to bring it, even though it adds a little extra weight. Now in terms of the rest of my cooking, here I just have a stainless steel pan. It's really a pot lid, but I use it as the pan function, and you can see it has had a lot of love. So I'm bringing that with me, as well as my Keith titanium pots. I'm just going to bring one pot. This will allow me to boil water, make coffee, things like that. It'll also allow me to cook some things in the evening and prepare my breakfast in the morning. And then I also have the lid for it, which will double as a small frying pan. So I think that should be sufficient. I'm planning on doing most of my cooking over the fire if I can, but as a backup, my brother-in-law does have a gas stove. So he will be using that. I will be cooking over the fire, and between us, we should be in good shape. And just finally, here I have my med kit. So reasonably comprehensive. Also has like my toothbrush, hand sanitizer, different things like that. So just a good quality med kit, which is a must to keep with you. A small sort of ground sheet that I will use for keeping my cooking gear organized while I cook. I will also use it as a little foot mat as I get ready for bed so that my feet don't get snowy. Just a good quality multi-purpose item. I use this a lot for a number of different things while I'm out there, so this will just make it in the bag. Toilet paper, camera tripod, my map, and some rope. So at the end of it all, if I need help getting this thing up a hill, or if I have to disconnect it and climb up to a location and drag it up, very important where I'm dealing with the sled to have some rope with me. So I have a nice bundle here, probably about 50 feet, which will at least get me hopefully up anything I would need to. So anyway, that takes care of a lot of these sort of details, but I still have a bunch more to show you, so let's just stay at it. Now before I continue on too far, I do at this point pretty much have everything that's going into this duffel bag already installed and at its location and ready to go. Last couple of things I'm going to throw on top are going to be my jackets and the remainder of the outerwear, so if I do need to get to that while I'm on the trail, I can kind of do so reasonably easily without disrupting all the rest of the gear. So I'm going to get that stuff put in. I'm going to get this bag all laced up and ready to go, and then we'll keep getting at it and go through the rest of the contents of what I'm going to bring. So now I have this nicely laced up and ready to go. And so at this point, I am in overall pretty good shape. Now there is still an accessible pocket on the outside here, which is nice. And that's going to allow me to put my med kit and toilet paper. So nice and accessible on the outside of this bag, and it is zipped up. And even though it's a little bit tight, I have plenty of room to get it in there. Now the other thing that I did to be careful was, even though I made these tie downs reasonably tight, at the same time I left a little bit of give, so now I can take some of my tools and sort of sneak them under here and overall give me a good place to lash them down. And so this is in very good shape. I also left the duffel handles accessible, so as I get ready to go, I can easily pick this up. So pretty interesting design. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Holds all of that gear that you've seen so far. And so this is definitely something that came together very nicely. Now in terms of tools, I am bringing a little bit more than I need. You've already seen that I'm bringing my silky saw. And then in terms of blades, I am bringing my Jack Kit KNV2. This to me is the ideal backpacking knife if you want something that's a little bit stout. It is a stainless steel, it's VG10 and has Kydex, so for me a great wet weather, snowy weather knife, perfectly sized, perfectly durable, and for me this is really the knife that I intend on using. However, I also am in the process of testing out two beautiful handmade blades that are D2 tool steel. These are by the company TFK or Tanev Family Knives. So I will have a full review on these, but I do plan on continuing to use them out in the field while I'm on my trip, trying to get a little bit more field use out of these things, a little bit more footage, so that when I put together the final review, you will see what these are fully capable of doing. So I am bringing these with me. And furthermore, I just really wanted to bring a nice size survival knife. So I'm bringing my BK12. This is the Ritter-Becker combination, BK12. I just think this thing's amazing, and I'm looking forward to using it in the field. I really haven't yet. I've done some real preliminary first looks at this, but I just want to get to use with it. So I have not had the opportunity to really do that. And where I'm processing a whole bunch of firewood, I'm thinking this would be a beautiful way to go. And now, just to wrap up my discussion about the tools, here I have my Gransfors Brook Scandinavian forest axe. I could have either gone with the wildlife hatchet or the small forest axe, but I opted for a larger forest axe, and again, this is the Scandinavian forest axe. Now, where I'm really counting on having a fire and relying on the fire for food and for warmth, I thought having a slightly larger axe would be wise, and so I opted to bring this, even though it is considerably larger tool than the other two that I mentioned. I thought, again, this would just be a good workhorse while I'm out there, and it's worth a little bit of the extra weight. Now, beyond my boots, I do also have some Catula micro spikes. So just a good quality addition to the kit. Easy to bring, fits right on the bottom of my boots if I need a little extra traction. And then also beyond that, I do have some snowshoes. So I honestly don't even know what these are. I don't own my own snowshoes, and I'm just borrowing these. But I do have two pairs, so I have a set for my brother-in-law and then a set for me, and if we need them, at least we got them. So I do need to kind of test these out a little bit, make sure that overall they work with my boots and that they're in good shape. I kind of need to maybe overall inspect these, but other than that, I mean, they look like they'll be plenty fine. Nice size, large, and look to be in overall good shape. So I will have both the micro spikes and the snowshoes with me. 2 sets of trekking poles, so a pair for me and a pair for my brother-in-law. And other than that, that covers the bulk of the gear. But the very final thing is I am also bringing a day pack. So here I have my 511 igniter pack, which I have loaded some of this gear into. So my tools, and I'm going to have my food in here and my water and things that I want to get to real easily. So this will be completely loaded up and ready to go, and I will mount it on the top of my sled, or if I have to, I will wear it on my back. Now, if you're still hanging in this video, I did have 2 video clips that for some reason were corrupt and it didn't make it. One was showing you that I did have some down outerwear, which included my Rab jacket and also my Kuyu super down pants. And then the other clip had all of my cordage, my fire starting supplies, as well as some basic electronics, so things that would be used, say for example, to charge my camera or phone, and then also some spare batteries and my headlamp. So unfortunately that gear did not make it into this video, but at least now you know that I was reasonably complete with my gear, and those are the items that I covered that were not seen. So alright guys, there you have it. My winter gear and expedition sled gear loadout. Obviously there's a ton of stuff here. It's a very comprehensive kit. A little bit of redundancy and maybe a little bit more than I needed, but I'm going out there to have fun, shoot some reviews, enjoy the outdoors in the deep winter, getting out into the mountains, and I'm going to give this one heck of a go. So anyway, thank you guys. Pay attention. I'm going to have some future videos showing all this gear in use, building snow shelters, how I tracked this sled, how it performed, and a whole bunch of stuff coming your way as a result of all this. So anyway, guys, again, thank you for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.